Welcome to the Cryptosphere. This is Cryptogenic coming at you. Today is Thursday, January 13th at 1:40 p.m. here in Northern California. Got a lot to share about the crypto charts today, but before we get into it, I want to tell you a story. On September 17th of 2021, Radiolab, my favorite podcast, for those of you who like podcasts, they released an episode called In the Running. And in this episode, it was about a lady named Diane Van Daren. And Diane started having epileptic seizures at a certain point in her life. She had small children. She was living with her husband in kind of this wooded area. And it was pretty dangerous. I mean, she could be driving her kids somewhere and go into a seizure and wreck the car. There'd be nothing she could do. She could, have a seizure in the tub and drown, or while swimming. She could fall face down on a bed during a seizure and suffocate herself. Epileptic seizures are dangerous things. And so the doctors were very concerned. They were trying to run a bunch of tests to figure out why she started having them so late in life. But one day, Diane started to feel a seizure coming on. And she happened to be wearing her running shoes, and she just decided to run. And she just went outside and just started running. And what she found is that the harder she ran, the more she felt like the seizure was like, she felt it coming on, but as she ran, she felt it dissipating. And so she ran until that sense of the seizure coming on went away, and she never had the seizure. And so what she found was that she could outrun the seizure for a while. And so she started running every day. Every time she felt that seizure coming on, she would just put on her running shoes and just run, bolt out the door. And at first she had to run 30 minutes, and then an hour, and then an hour and a half, and then 2 hours, and then 2.5 hours, and then 3 hours. It seems like the harder she ran, the harder the seizures ran to try to catch up to her. Well, at a certain point, the seizures started to outrun her. First, she would run and run and run and still have the seizure. And then it got to the point where the seizures were coming so fast that she couldn't even get out the door to start her run. So she realized she needed medical help. So what they did was they put her in this brain. Basically, they put all these, they connected all of these electrodes to her brain. Not electrodes, but sensors, basically. And she had a seizure right there in the hospital, and they were able to locate the part of her brain where the seizures were taking place. So they said, we want to take out this part of your brain where the seizures are taking place, but we don't know what else we'll be taking out. See, the thing we need to understand about the human brain is that no two brains are the same, right? So they haven't completely mapped out the brain where they say this is here and this is here, because different things can be in different places for different people. So when they're taking out a chunk of your brain, they really actually don't know what they're taking out. Well, they wanted to take out a kiwi fruit size chunk of her brain. So she thought, well, anything's better than these seizures, so I'll just have to take my chances with the surgery. So she has the surgery. She goes home. She recovers from the surgery. And she thinks everything's great. She doesn't feel different at all. She doesn't think anything has changed. She feels like her personality is the same. But at a certain point, her family sits her down and they do like this intervention. And the kids are frustrated because they said, Mom, we never leave on time to get to school, so we haven't been to school on time since your surgery. You're never there on time to pick us up. We never know if you're going to be there or not. And you forget, like you're forgetting stuff all the time. And so she goes back to the doctors. What they discovered is that she lost two things in the surgery that she didn't anticipate losing. The first was spatial reasoning, meaning looking at a map, maps just look like gibberish to her. She can't make anything out of it. There's no reason or logic. Her ability to comprehend spatial reasoning was gone. And the second thing that was taken out was her experience of time. So the difference between an hour and 1 minute she doesn't know that. She doesn't experience the difference between 1 hour and 1 minute. She doesn't know how long has passed or how long she has. She has no way of perceiving those two things. So they had to find ways to work around that. But in the midst of that, she started running. Like she just started feeling this desire to run. And so she thought, I'm going to sign up for a marathon. So she goes and signs up for a marathon. And she wins the marathon. Then she thought, I think I want to do a double marathon. So she signs up for a double marathon. It's like 52 miles. And she wins it. And then she thinks, I'm going to try a 100-mile race. And so she signs up for this 100-mile race. And she wins that junk. And so she starts traveling all over the world doing these like super marathon, ultra marathons, whatever they call it, like where it's multiple marathons, 100 miles, and it's in the worst terrain. I mean, she's in like sub-zero temperatures sometimes for these races, or in the middle of the desert somewhere. And she's winning all of these. She's either winning or coming in first, or coming in second place at the worst. And so in the middle of this interview, they get to this point of the interview and they asked her this question. They said, do you think that you got some type of advantage from the surgery? And she goes, advantage? No, I think it was a disadvantage because, wait a minute, what are we talking about? Wait, what was I saying? So she's like, she's losing her train of thought. Even in the interview, you could tell her short-term memory is jacked. You know, she's like, what are we talking about? Wait, what's going on? Wait, what are we talking? Wait, what was I saying? She kept saying that through the whole interview. So she's like, yeah, and secondly, my spatial reasoning is gone. So like a lot of times I'm in a 100-mile race and I'll come to a fork in the road and sometimes there's 2 or 3 different directions I can go. I have no clue which one I'm supposed to take. And they asked her, so what do you do in that situation? She said, well, what I do is I have a pocket full of these ribbons and I'll just pick one at random and then put a ribbon down there on the path. And then I just run. And at a certain point, it's obvious if that's not the right way, you know? So I'll turn around and run back until I find the ribbon, and then I'll choose the next path and put a ribbon there. And she said, sometimes, you know, that's taken me 2 days to just find my way. So the times she's lost races like come in second place, it was typically because she spent so much time trying to find her way because she can't read a map. She goes, oh, but wait a minute. I think there was one advantage that I got. And they said, really, what's that? And she goes, time. She said, I remember she was in the middle of this race where it was a 100-mile race in sub-zero temperature. And there was this tent where they were all sleeping, and there was only a few individuals left, her and 2 or 3 others. And one of them was moaning and groaning and said, oh, we've been out here in this barren land for 6 days. I don't know how much longer I can handle this. And she said, when she said that they had been there for 6 days, it dawned on her, we have? It dawned on her that she didn't know if she had been there for 6 days or 6 minutes. That there was no difference to her between 6 days and 6 minutes. And because she had no ability to comprehend the passage of time, she was unaware of what she was supposed to feel or how tired she was supposed to be. And so the powers of discouragement that work on us who experience time and experience disappointment and difficulty stretched out over an extended period of time, she didn't experience that at all. She didn't feel that at all. And so she realized that because she never had any idea how long she had been in a race, that her experience was always one of pleasant surprise when she'd come to the end of the race. Oh, it's been 100 miles already? Oh, wow. It's like, yeah, you've been out there for 10 days in the middle of the Sahara Desert. She goes, oh, I was? She had no clue. And I thought, what an incredible gift to have. I mean, in a sense, of course, it makes life very difficult to live from a relational perspective. You're never on time to anything. You probably don't hit deadlines. But when it comes to delayed gratification and the ability to apply patience in pursuit of a reward, it's an incredible, incredible, incredible power to have. Now, let's think about this in terms of the crypto market, that when we think about, once again, and I've said this so many times before, crypto time is different from normal time. Like when you jump in, I mean, in normal time, like if you were to show anybody this Bitcoin chart here and say, wow, if you go back, let's see, let's go to January 1st of 2021. That's somewhere here. We were just below $30,000 on that day. And today, I got the wrong. If you were to go back to January 1st, 2021, where we were just below $30,000 on January 1st, just below $30,000 2021, and then show them, wow, we're up 44% in 1 year. That's beastly in any other market. Like in the stock market, you made 44% in 1 year on your stock portfolio. Like, yeah. But in the crypto space, that's miserly. In the crypto space, that's a failure. That's like, what, man? That asset must be nothing. That's how we feel about it. But in actuality, I've got a friend, my friend Crypto John started accumulating Bitcoin in 2013, I believe it was. He started buying Bitcoin. And then as soon as Litecoin came out, he started buying Litecoin. As soon as Ethereum came out, he started buying Ethereum. At XRP, he started buying XRP. He just started like little $15 a week accumulations of each of those for years. It just extended for years. And he just forgot about whether it goes up or down. It's like he's got that gift in terms of temporal amnesia. Like he doesn't remember. Don't you realize it's been a 70% pullback over the last, it goes, oh, it has? Oh, that's interesting. He's just pleasantly surprised every time he says, oh, wow. He bought some Dogecoin in like 2016 or 2017 or something like that. And, oh, look at that. I forgot about that. It's like just the ability to forget what you have and to wait and to give the market time to develop. That is a superpower in the crypto space, because here's what tends to happen, and I hear this all the time. We have something that's not doing anything and hasn't done anything for a year or 2 years, and we tend to think, maybe I should dump it. Maybe this is trash. Maybe this is nothing. And my number one, if it's not doing anything, well then why should I do anything with it? Right? I mean, if it's not doing anything, I'm either going to sell it for a loss or sell it for a wash. I might as well just leave it where it is. Now, once again, this is not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor, so I'm not telling you what to do or what not to do, but I'm simply saying that if we could apply this sense of timelessness or this temporal amnesia, I don't even know what to call it, that Diane Van Buren had, we would be so much better off, because we would not incessantly need the market to make major moves in short amounts of time. We would simply have the patience to invest in the best assets and then wait. All right, that's my sermon for today. I'm just going to jump into a couple of charts here today before I move on. Looking at the Bitcoin chart, as you can see, we're trying to retest the 50-day EMA. We're trying to get back above this trend line as well. Right now we're at $42,836.98. However, the current candle at the moment is a doji. Now we're right in the middle of the week. So we're like at the halfway point of the week, and we're looking at a doji, which means it's got an upper wick and a lower wick that are almost equal in size. This indicates indecision in the market, which means at the very moment, right now, at this very moment, there's a war between the bulls and the bears. The bears are trying to push it down. The bulls are trying to push it up. And their powers are pretty much equal right now. And so we've got the next 3 days to see who's going to win this war. If this candle ends as a doji at the end of the week, if it looks like it does now, when we close this candle, that is indecision, which means we have no clue next week what's going to happen. It could go up, it could go down, or we could make another doji. So what we're looking for actually is a hammer like this, right? So a hammer with a long bottom wick, that's telling us that the trend has reversed. That's what we're looking for. So, but at any rate, we're not seeing that at this point, and so we must apply patience. However, we do have a nice bounce in the RSI here, and if the RSI continues moving upward, then the price should continue moving upward as well. Taking a look at BCH, we've got a doji. Once again, we're looking at a doji on the BCH chart. We're at support. We got support in the RSI and a bounce there at support. If the RSI can start coming up, then we can expect the price to start coming up as well. But right now it's inconclusive because we're looking at dojis. What are we looking at with XRP? At this moment, a doji. What are we looking at with THETA token? At this moment, a doji. What are we looking at with DOT? Now, I was asked to chart DOT. I haven't looked at DOT in a few days, maybe even a couple of weeks. Taking a look at this, I think we can redraw the trend lines. Yeah, if we look at, if this is the actual trend, if that's where the trend line should be, then DOT can still come down a few dollars before it hits support. And so that means support for DOT would be right at the $20 mark. However, let's take a look at what's going on in the RSI. Yeah, there's so much going on here. I haven't looked at this in a minute. Let me just start over here to figure out. All right, so what we can see is this. Definitely making lower highs. And what's going on with the lows, but we're making higher lows. Look at that. So this is a descending wedge. No, it's not descending, it's more symmetrical. It's definitely a narrowing wedge. Okay, so if we got a narrowing wedge in the RSI, what does that tell us? Let's clean this up a bit. All right, so that's a clear narrowing wedge in the RSI. Higher lows in the RSI, which is bullish. Higher lows in the price, which is bullish. Price is coming to support, but we're still making a higher low, which is more than can be said for many assets right now. We broke above this ceiling here, but we got rejected there. Okay, so this is an ascending, this is a wedge as well. Yeah, take a look at this. We're triangling here. Okay. All right, so it's just a matter of how long. So we got to watch the break. We got to watch the break of this wedge here. And then what I'm going to do is make this one dotted so that we can see that really what's of all importance right now is what we do coming out of this wedge. So this is a narrowing wedge. This is a narrowing wedge. If we can break bullish out of this narrowing wedge in the RSI, we should expect a bullish break in the price. If we break bearish out of here in the RSI, we should expect a bearish break. What do I think? What do I think is going to happen? I think we're going to have a bullish break. And the reason I think we're going to have a bullish break is because we're getting higher lows in the RSI, just like we're getting higher lows in the price. And in actuality, we're getting, that's not a good sign, though, because we're getting higher highs in the price, but lower highs in the RSI. So the higher lows are promising, but the lower highs, the bearish divergence here is not promising. It's inconclusive, guys. It's inconclusive. So we just need to wait and see. But you know me, guys. I'm bullish to a fault. So we're going to watch this to see where it goes. I'm going to look at rows for a minute. I don't know if any of you have rows. Yeah, look at this. Okay, so this is an ascending wedge, which is actually in a reversal pattern. This is an ascending narrowing wedge, which means that we could break down at any point here. I mean, we've touched the top here. 1, 2, 3. We almost touched the top there. I would count that as a fourth. And we could be at the top, but we're still making higher highs in the RSI. So until we make a lower high in the RSI, this pattern may not be over. Matter of fact, if we come up and touch the top of the RSI here, we could actually break above this. And if we break above this wedge, that could take us up to $3.90. So, but if we break down bearish out of this wedge, I see this area here as the consolidation level. Well, I guess it depends on where we break down. I mean, if we come all the way up here, let's say, to 62 cents, yeah, if we come all the way up here to 62 cents, I'd say 14 cents is the bottom. But if we break down here, well, yeah, I'd say 11 cents is the bottom. I'd say 83% would be max. Well, let's see previous breakdowns. How far did we break down? Let's look at history. History has its eye on you. All right, 82%. Yeah, that's where I got that from. Yeah, so 82% was our historic breakdown. And so if we go all the way up to the top of here, and that's our breakdown spot, then, yeah, 10 cents. So it just depends on where the breakdown place is. And so we'll reset these targets if we get a breakdown. But if we get a breakout and we're able to break above this line, I mean, we hit the line once, twice, 3 times, and this is the 4th time hitting the line. It's weakening this line. Every time we hit that line, it weakens the line. And so that line is super weak. Now, of course, we've hit this line 1, 2, 3, 4 times too. So we almost hit it there a 5th time. So if we hit it a 6th time, this line is just as weak, if not weaker. So it would be good if we could break above this line, if we get a burst of volume and break above this line now. But if we revisit this bottom line, we might just plunge through the bottom of it. But we're watching it to see what it does. I'm going to look at XEM. XEM, I haven't looked at this one in a minute as well. We're right at support, and we're making a doji at that line of support. Right at support in the RSI as well, but this is bullish. Short-term bearish. We made a lower high in the short term. However, we simultaneously made, we made a lower low in the short term. Is it a lower low? Let me make sure. Okay, come right down to that low. Bam. Nope, we didn't make a lower low. It's still a higher low. Look at that. Let's make it clear. You see how from this low to this low is a higher low. So we're still bullish here. We're still bullish. So with that being said, XEM is still bullish. And man, this consolidation period has taken quite a while. Look at this. From its top here, charting the bottom to today, 90% over 315 days, almost a full year, almost a full year. I mean, a couple months shy of a full year of consolidation, 10 months of consolidation, folks. The market is ready to break out, folks. I mean, we've consolidated. Let's look at this. I mean, the other side of it is, in hindsight, here we had 798 days of consolidation before we got that move. But considering that we saw 798 days of consolidation, I just can't imagine that this move is over. Secondly, we haven't even hit the previous all-time high. Right? So we came down here. That was only 364 days. It's still 672 days. We should get another breakout, man. We should get another breakout in here and keep going up. Come on. Come on. We can do it. We just got to go to sleep in terms of our experience of time. Time is funny, isn't it? All right, DGB, I'm going to look at that real quick. Still coming down this trend here. I drew this trend line last time I looked at it. RSI broke down beneath. We're making lower lows in the RSI, lower lows in the price. My only consolation is that there's only so far this junk can come down. And from here to here, 66%. I think the absolute floor will be 18 cents. I'm going to stop saying that that would be a gift because I know that that would not be a gift to many of you who are watching the channel. But in the long term, if we could put our temporal considerations to sleep, in the long term, we would look back on that and say that it's a gift. That is, if we had a little bit of dry powder to throw in there in the long term. Couple more, but I'm not going to have time to get to those today. So I'll have to come back and revisit these others tomorrow. Or I just might throw up the charts. These were requested by the members of my Patreon community, so I'll probably just throw up those charts in that community. But thank you all so much for watching today. Thank you for taking the time to, and especially if you're still watching all the way to the end of this video, I appreciate each and every one of you a lot. Yeah, remember, this isn't financial advice. If you feel like liking the video, that'd be great. That's all I got. With that being said, make every effort to sleep in peace every night, wake in joy every morning, and walk in love every day. This is Cryptogenic, signing out.